thrice. And Peter went out and shed tears and cried. And Jesus looked at him and he remembered. Peter fell down badly. Peter fell down. Peter was, if there's one disciple who was near to Jesus, it was Peter. If it's just one that was near to Jesus, it would be Peter. But Peter did not know the strength of his own mind. He did not know how much he could manage. Peter did wickedly. Right? Yes, man. Peter was wicked. But don't kill him yet. Don't kill him. Don't kill him yet. Let's not bury him yet. Is there anybody here who at some point in your life you say something? I will never do that. I will never allow this to happen to me. Is there anybody in this reach of my voice or online or anywhere? Just one person. Let me put up my hand first. Many times in this life, I said to myself, I will never ever do that. Until I found myself in a mess that only God can help me. But I want you to remember and to understand that that crying that Peter made after the cock crowed, it changed Peter. Something happened. Something happened to Peter. Amen. Because Jesus, as the day progresses, because that was the night, and by daylight, because Jesus was crucified from early in the day. After he was scourged, and that is another thing that we're not going to go into deep into that. Because the scourging was more than the crucifixion. If you know what a scourging is and what they used to do the scourging, with chunks of flesh and blood dug out of Jesus' body. Some commentators says his body was mutilated, that I couldn't tell whether he was a man or a woman when the scourging was finished with him. But he was able to walk to Golgotha anyhow, because the transaction was not complete until he said it's finished. Amen. And Peter, Jesus spent 3 days and 3 nights in the tomb. And he spent 40 days after his resurrection. So that's 43. Right? And Pentecost was 1 week after that. Because from the time of the Lord's Supper to Pentecost was 50 days. Because I'm correct, right? The celebration of the deliverance from Egypt, that comes every year, the same date. Right? And it's always 50 days from that to Pentecost, the Feast of Weeks. And so what you find, Jesus spent 40 days and then the week after that. So between that last week, that's the time when Jesus was ascended to heaven. And we're not going too deep into that. But before the Pentecost, Jesus related to Peter again after his resurrection. And if we look in John, after Jesus was crucified and he was resurrected, Peter was one of those who called the other disciples and said, let us go fishing. As a matter of fact, 7 of them went fishing. If you look at the book of John, 7 of them went fishing. And while they were on the sea, overnight, coming into morning, they heard somebody on the shore calling, have you any meat? And they said, no. And he said, cast your net on the other side. And when they obeyed the voice, they caught 153 fishes. In so much, big fishes, in so much that to call for help. And John was the one on the boat too who recognized that it was Jesus on the shore. And Jesus asked them if they have any meat, and they said no. By the time they throw the boats and get out there with the fish that they caught, Jesus already had roast fish out there. It's just because we don't have time to read all of that, St. John 21, St. John 21. The point is, when they reached out there, Jesus said to them, come and dine. He called all of them and said, come and dine. Roast fish out there already. How Jesus got roast fish out there, that's another thing. We're not going into that because we don't know. But we're talking about Jesus after his resurrection. And the point, another point, he called Peter by himself and says,